The lesson outcome for this video is I can factor using magic number, or the AC method. In this video, I'm going to ask you to do something very specific. Now, this is the third time we've worked on this topic of factoring when A is something other than 1, which is what we use magic number or the AC method to factor. What I would like to do with this video, because like I said, you've done this several times now, is I would like you to work one step ahead of me. I'm going to do a lot of pausing, and I want you to try to do what the next step is before I actually do it. This is really going to help you understand whether you're on top of it or if you are still struggling to understand the next step. Okay, so go ahead, let's start this problem off and go ahead and do the first step here to factor this using magic number. Okay, so the first thing you should have done is you should have multiplied the A and the C in this problem. Remember, it's A is the coefficient of x squared, B is the coefficient of x, and C is our constant. So multiplying the A and the C, and we're going to include our variable part as well, is negative 24x squared. You absolutely need the negative. If you missed it, that is going to be an issue. So get that in there now. Okay, now with our magic number off to the side, or our magic term, go ahead and do the next step. If you need more time with this, pause the video and then restart it when you're ready. What you should have done is find all the factors of negative 24x squared. As I do in class typically, 1 and 24 are factors of negative 24, but we need one of them to be negative. And then we need our x with each. If you forgot that step, why don't you go ahead, pause it now, list all the factors, and then come back to see if you got them all. Okay, so there's our list. Hopefully you have the correct list there, and now I'd like you to do the next step here. What is the next step if we were trying to factor using magic number? Go ahead and do the next step. Okay, hopefully what you did was you tried to find which of these factors here, which factor pair, adds up to this middle term B, negative 5x. And what you should have noticed is that this is almost the correct set of factors, but in order to get a negative 5x, you need to change this to a positive 3, and the 8 needs to be negative, because positive 3x and negative 8x add up to negative 5x. Okay, go on to the next step. What are you going to do next? Again, if you're not quite done, go ahead and pause the video. Otherwise, what you should have done is I usually separate the first term A and the last term C out a little bit. And then we take this right here that's in our red rectangle over here and move this over into this space here. So we have positive 3x, negative 8x. Okay, again, what do we do next? Hopefully you thought of putting the vertical line in. We got to put the vertical line in between our first two terms and our last two terms. And make sure again that it's in front of the negative on the 8x. And what do we do next? Go ahead. Pause the video if you need a little bit more time. But what we needed to do here is we needed to factor out the GCF of each side of that green vertical line. On this side here, we've got a 6 and a 3 for our numerical values of our terms, and we know that both are divisible by 3, which means 3 is the greatest common factor. We also have x squared, which is x times x, and an x, so we can take out 1x, factor out 1x. And then we find out what we have left. Since 6 divided by 3 is 2, we know we have a 2 here, and we have an x remaining from the x squared. And then we also have, this is a little tricky here. Remember, if we have 3x and we're factoring out 3x, we don't have 0 left. 3x times what gives us 3x? And the answer is plus 1. All right, now do the same thing on the right-hand side of that green vertical line if you haven't done so already. This time I'd like to remind you how important it is that this minus sign gets brought in to our next step. 8x and 4, or negative in both cases, they both have a common factor of 4. They're both divisible by 4. So we're going to take out a 4, which is technically negative 4 that we're factoring out. When we do that, we have negative 8 divided by negative 4, which is 2. So we have 2x, because we're not taking out or factoring out an x. And then again, be careful here. Negative 4 divided by negative 4, we're not getting it 0 here. We're going to get plus 1. Notice the sign changed from negative to positive because we factored the negative out. How do we know we've factored this so far correctly? We know this because our parentheses match. If your parentheses match, write them down. Just one time, 2x plus 1. Again, our 2x plus 1 is common in both of these terms, and what's left goes in the other parentheses. Again, once this is taken out, factored out right here, we have 3x left. And once this is taken out of this term, we have minus 4 remaining. We have factored this correctly. Okay, and after seeing that example walk through pretty slowly, I'm going to ask that you do this example, 6x squared minus 11x minus 10, on your own, in your notes, and I'm going to check your factors in class the next time we meet. So please make sure you do this one on your own, follow those same steps from the previous example. In fact, you could write this down in your notes and then kind of restart the previous example and see if that helps you with your steps if you need it. All right. Good luck.